Okay, so what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be subtracting two negative integers. Okay, this says negative 42 minus negative 48. Now the first thing we need to remember, whenever you see two negative signs together, see here, we see two negative signs together. When you see two negative signs together, it's like you're adding a positive number. Okay, so it then becomes negative 42 plus 48. Okay, so whenever you see two negatives together, you're adding a positive. When you just change the two negatives into positive signs, right? And now our rule says that whenever you're adding or subtracting two different signs, all you need to do is subtract, and you keep the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. Okay, so first thing we need to do now, remember, Miss Tillet doesn't want any magic numbers, right? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say, now, which of these numbers have a higher absolute value? Negative 42 or positive 48? Remember, absolute value is just the number without a sign. So which has more? Which value is more? 48 or 42? 48. So we're going to put that sign at the top. Remember, 42 can't take away 48. We have to put the bigger number at the top. So we're going to use 48 minus 42. And then we're going to subtract, right? 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0. But we don't put zeros in front of numbers, so we're just going to leave it as that, right? So we're going to put our 6 here. And the last part says that you're going to keep the sign of the number with the largest absolute value. So which absolute value is bigger? 48 or 42? 48 would be bigger. So this would be a positive 6. But do we need to write a positive here? No, we don't, right? Because that's understood. Let's do example number 2. Here we have a negative 64 minus negative 41. The first step we said, we need to, since two negatives are together, we're going to change that into positive. So now we have negative 64 plus 41. Okay? Now, which two numbers have a larger absolute value? 64 or 41? The answer would be 64. So we will put that number at the top. Because remember, see, we have a negative and we have a positive. So when we're adding or subtracting two different signs, we need to subtract and keep the sign of the number with the biggest absolute value. Okay? So we're going to say 64 minus 41. Okay? So 4 minus 1 would give us 3. And 6 minus 4 would give us 2. Alright? And now the last step is to check which number has the biggest absolute value. So which one has the biggest absolute value? 64 or 41? Your answer would be 64. And what sign does 64 have? A negative. So your answer would be negative 23. Okay? Now let's do the last one here. And this one is one that you need to pay keen attention to, because I noticed some of you are having a little bit of issues when you are subtracting. So let's look at this one. Step 1, two negatives become two positives. Write over the problem so you don't get confused. Negative 27 plus 52. Okay. Next, you're going to show me your working. So, which one of these two have a larger absolute value? 52, right? So that will go on top. 52 minus 27. Okay? Then we subtract. Now what I am seeing some of you doing, 2 minus 7, 5. Now please explain to me, because maybe teacher doesn't understand how you get that 5 there. But if I have 2 marbles, how can I give away 7 marbles and still stay with 5 and I only had 2? So we need to keep that in mind when we are subtracting. Each digit, the larger digit has to go to the top. So when we are subtracting each place, so this is your 1's place, this is your 10's place. For you to be able to subtract, the top number has to be bigger. So how can we make the 2 bigger? We need to go next door and ask for more. So when we take 1 from this 5, we will end up with 4. We're taking a group of 1's, right? And we're going to put it here. So we end up with 1 and 2 gives us 12. Now, 12 minus 7, that will give us 5, right? Because 5 and 7 is equal to 12, right? Then we have 4 minus 2 will give us 2. So, which one of these numbers have a larger absolute value? Is 27 or 52 a larger absolute value? Your answer would be 52. And what sign does 52 have? It's a positive number, so your answer will be positive 25. Okay? Now, all you need to do is apply what you have learned when you are working on your worksheets, and you should have no problem. Alright? So I look forward to checking your work. Any questions that you may still have, feel free to contact me privately on WhatsApp. Okay? That's all for now. Have a good day.